Have you ever asked yourself, why do I always attract the wrong person? Not just once, but over and over again. Different face, different name, same chaos. Maybe it starts off like magic, excitement, chemistry. That feeling in your chest like, finally, someone gets me. But then, the cracks show. The tension builds. You're misunderstood again. You're giving too much again. You're losing yourself again. And then you think, what's wrong with me? Why does this keep happening? Here's the truth. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. But something deeper is at play. Something hidden. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, had an answer. And it starts with this idea: you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are, especially the parts you don't know about. Let's go deeper. The pattern isn't random. Think about it. How many times have you met someone and felt an instant pull? You can't explain it. It doesn't make sense. But you're drawn in. Almost like fate. But what if it's not fate? What if it's a pattern? According to Jung, that pull isn't chemistry. It's your unconscious. See, there's a part of your mind that you know. Your conscious mind. It's where you think, plan, decide. But then, there's the unconscious. It's like a basement filled with everything you've ever forgotten, repressed, or denied. Old wounds, buried fears, hidden desires. And here's the scary part. That unconscious part of you, it's choosing your partners, not your heart. Not your logic, your unconscious, the hidden magnet. You might think you're choosing based on compatibility, shared values, mutual interests. But underneath that, you're being drawn to people who reflect your unconscious material. What does that mean? It means you're drawn to the ones who remind you, not of what you want, but of what you've lost, what you missed, what you've suppressed. Sometimes it's beautiful. Sometimes it's destructive. Usually it's both, because deep down, your psyche isn't just trying to find love. It's trying to find wholeness. Why this matters. Jung believed that relationships are not random. They are mirrors. Every person you're drawn to, especially the ones who hurt you, are showing you something about yourself, your past, your patterns, your pain. And until you understand what that is, you'll keep repeating the same story, with a different character, different partner, same wound. But what exactly are you projecting onto these people? What are you really seeing? When you say, they're perfect, or they're toxic. In the next part, we'll dive into Jung's most important idea of all, the shadow, and how the parts of yourself you've rejected might be the reason you keep falling for the wrong ones. Stay with me. This might change how you see love forever. We all have parts of ourselves we don't want to see. Things we've been told were too much, too emotional, too angry, too soft, too loud, too needy, too cold. So we adapt, We push those parts away. We bury them. We become the version of ourselves that feels more acceptable, more lovable, more safe. But those rejected parts don't disappear. They become the shadow. Carl Jung called the shadow everything within us that we refuse to acknowledge, the hidden side of our personality. And it's not just the obviously bad stuff. It's anything we've disowned: power, vulnerability, desire, sensitivity, rage, confidence. The more we repress them, the more power they gain, not because they're evil, but because they're unconscious. And anything unconscious controls us without us realizing it. This is where relationships come in. Because the shadow doesn't stay hidden forever. It shows up. It shows up in your partner. It shows up in the people you fall for, fight with, and obsess over. You don't just fall in love with a person. You fall in love with your shadow. You're drawn to what you've pushed away in yourself. If you've buried your vulnerability, you might be magnetized by someone open and emotionally expressive. If you've rejected your independence, you might chase someone wild and untamed. If you've hidden your rage, you might be drawn to someone fiery and unfiltered. Or maybe they terrify you. Attraction isn't always about compatibility. Sometimes it's a reaction to the unlived parts of yourself. And it gets more complex because it's not just positive traits we project. We also project our fears, our shame, our guilt. You might blame your partner for being controlling, when deep down you've never learned how to own your own decisions. You might call them cold, when really you're the one afraid to open your heart. The shadow distorts how we see others, and that's why some people feel instantly threatening, or irresistibly exciting, or both, because they're waking up something in you. Something unconscious, something unresolved. Here's where it gets practical. Think back to your last intense relationship, the one that really shook you. What did you admire about them? What made you feel alive? Now ask yourself, is that a part of me I've denied? A part I want, but don't know how to express? Then flip the script. What triggered you most about them? What made you angry, insecure, powerless? Now ask, have I ever acted like that? Do I fear becoming that? Have I been shamed for that trait in myself? This isn't about blaming you. This is about meeting yourself. Because until you face your shadow, you'll keep projecting it onto lovers, onto friends, onto strangers. But when you bring it into the light, you stop letting it control you. You start integrating. You stop chasing your missing pieces in other people, and you begin becoming whole. Jung believed that the purpose of life isn't perfection. It's integration. To make peace with all the parts of ourselves, not just the ones that look good on paper, and relationships, especially the painful ones, are the fastest way to find out what's hiding in your shadow. So the next time someone triggers you, pause. Instead of reacting, ask, what part of me is being revealed right now? What am I seeing in them that actually lives in me? That question alone can change your entire love life. Because when you stop running from your shadow, you stop falling for people who carry it for you. And that's when everything begins to shift. You're not always falling in love with a person. Sometimes you're falling in love with a projection, an image, an idea, a fantasy created by your unconscious mind. And it feels real. It feels powerful. It feels like love. But often, it's not. Carl Jung explained that projection is what happens when we take something that lives inside us, a feeling, a desire, a fear, and we place it on someone else. It's like your unconscious paints a picture over the other person, and you fall in love with that picture. Not them, the projection, and you don't even realize you're doing it. Maybe you meet someone who's mysterious and emotionally distant. They barely text back. They give nothing away. And suddenly, you're obsessed. Why? Because maybe your unconscious has turned that mystery into meaning. Maybe you've projected the idea that if I can win their love, I'll finally feel worthy. Or they must be deep, or secretly wounded, or hiding some powerful truth. But what if they're just emotionally unavailable? What if there's no mystery, just a wall? That's the power of projection. It fills in the blanks with whatever your psyche is craving. Here's another example. Let's say you meet someone who's charming, confident, outgoing. They light up a room, and you think, wow, they're so free, so alive. But months later, that charm feels fake. That confidence starts to feel controlling. That light starts to cast shadows, and you're confused, hurt, maybe even angry, because the person you fell in love with seems to be disappearing. But were they ever really there? Or did your unconscious just project all the traits you wish you had onto them? Maybe you've silenced your own voice for years, so you projected your buried boldness onto them. And now you feel abandoned, not by them, but by the part of you that you never claimed. This happens all the time. You think they changed, but what actually changed is your projection started to fade. Reality came in, and it's disorienting, because projection feels like love until it doesn't. That's when disappointment sets in, or resentment, or a sense of betrayal. Like, they're not who I thought they were. But maybe they never were. You were in love with a version of them that lived in your mind, shaped by your wounds, your longings, your shadow. And that's not your fault. This is something we all do. It's part of being human. But once you become aware of it, you can start catching it. You can start asking deeper questions like, am I seeing this person, or am I seeing my unmet needs? Am I reacting to them, or to an old story I've lived before? Do I feel safe with this person, or do I feel familiar pain? Because familiarity isn't always love. Sometimes it's just a loop, a pattern, a replay of something you didn't finish in childhood. And until you notice it, you'll keep repeating it. This is why Jung believed relationships aren't just about happiness. They're about awareness. Love isn't supposed to make you blind. Real love, conscious love, helps you see. So if you're waking up from a projection, if the fantasy is starting to fall apart, that's not failure. That's clarity. That's your chance to stop chasing illusions and start choosing people for who they actually are, not what they represent. Because the moment you stop projecting, you stop searching for someone to complete you, and you start attracting someone who can meet you as you are. There's another layer to why we fall for certain people. Carl Jung called it the anima and the animus, the inner feminine and the inner masculine that lives inside all of us. Whether you're a man, a woman, or non-binary, this isn't about gender roles. It's about energy, archetypes, inner images that shape how you relate to the opposite and to yourself. Let's start with the anima. According to Jung, every man carries an unconscious image of woman within him. Not women, but woman, with a capital W, the anima. This image isn't created consciously. It's built from experiences. Your relationship with your mother. The women you saw growing up. The stories, movies, music, culture. All of it shapes how you understand the feminine. And that inner image becomes part of your psyche. So when a man falls in love, he may not be seeing the real person in front of him. He's seeing his anima projected onto her. He thinks, she's everything I've ever wanted. But what he's really saying is, she matches the image inside me. And when reality doesn't match the fantasy, things fall apart. Now flip the story. The animus is the inner masculine that lives in every woman. It's the internal image of man, shaped by early encounters, by fathers, brothers, teachers, films, books, society. The animus might appear as the protector, the rebel, the philosopher, the cold, distant intellectual. And just like the anima, this inner image gets projected outward. So a woman might fall for a man who seems confident, bold, powerful, not because of who he truly is, but because he mirrors her unconscious animus. We think we're choosing someone out of love. But often, we're chasing our inner ideals, our fantasies. Jung called this the psychological marriage, the union of our inner masculine and feminine. But here's the twist. If we never integrate those inner energies ourselves, we'll keep projecting them onto others. We'll keep looking for someone out there to give us what we've never developed in here. A man who rejects his emotions might seek out emotionally expressive women, not because he values their heart, but because he's disconnected from his own. He wants them to carry it for him. A woman who feels unsafe expressing her ambition might fall for dominant, driven men, not because they're her equal, but because they represent the fire she's hiding from in herself. This is where projection becomes dependency, and eventually, disillusionment. Because no one can carry your soul for you. You can't outsource your growth. You can't keep falling for people just because they reflect a part of you that you've left behind. So what do? You turn inward. You begin to develop a relationship with your own anima or animus. You listen to the voice you've ignored. You allow your emotions to speak. You give your logic a seat at the table. You integrate. And the more whole you become on the inside, the less you project on the outside. You stop needing someone to save you, or to inspire you, or to fill the gap between who you are and who you wish you could be. Because now, you carry those qualities within you. That's what Jung called individuation. The process of becoming whole, not through another person, but through union with your own inner world. So when you meet someone after that, you're not looking for completion. You're looking for connection, not from emptiness, but from presence. And that is a different kind of love. If you've made it this far, then something in you is ready. Ready to stop repeating. Ready to start remembering. Ready to understand love in a new way. So, let's get practical. You've heard about the shadow, projection, the anima, the animus, the unconscious patterns that shape who you're drawn to. But what do you actually do with all of this? Start here. Pay attention to your patterns. If every relationship ends the same way, if you always feel abandoned, unseen, too much, not enough, that's not random. That's a message. Write it down. What's the emotional theme that keeps repeating? Next, ask yourself, what do I keep looking for in other people? Is it safety, validation, power, passion? Then ask the harder question. Where have I disconnected from that in myself? Because if you don't trust your own voice, you'll keep chasing people who speak loudly. If you don't know your own worth, you'll keep falling for people who treat you like a question mark. If you don't feel whole, you'll keep looking for someone to complete you and calling it love. But love isn't completion. Love is recognition. It's meeting someone from a place of self-awareness. It's connection without possession, closeness without losing yourself. So here's your practice. When you're attracted to someone, pause. Instead of asking, do they like me? Ask, what are they waking up in me? Are they showing you a forgotten part of yourself? Are they triggering a wound that wants to be healed? Your body knows. Your emotions know. Start listening, and most of all, do your shadow work. Not by fixing yourself, but by facing yourself. Sit with your shame. Look at your fear. Own your neediness. Honor your strength. Reclaim what you've pushed away. The more you integrate, the less you'll project. The less you chase, the more you'll choose. You'll stop falling for people who mirror your pain and start connecting with people who resonate with your truth. It won't always feel like fireworks, but it will feel like peace. And that's real love. If this message resonated with you, if something clicked in your heart or stirred in your soul, then I invite you to join me on this journey. Subscribe to this channel, Soul of the Mind. Here, we explore the deeper layers of psychology, love, and consciousness, not to escape life, but to understand it, to grow through it, and to meet ourselves fully. Until next time, don't chase love. Become the kind of love you've been searching for, and everything changes.